July 29th, 2026. 7 points light up at exactly the same moment, and BTS announces their 독립선언, their declaration of independence from the Grammy Awards. July 29th, 2026 marks the date when the music industry's power structure cracked open. BTS didn't just announce they were boycotting the Grammys. They issued their 독립선언, their declaration of independence from Western validation entirely. This wasn't a protest or tantrum. It was a calculated move that shifted cultural power from gatekeepers to artists themselves, proving that when you are big enough, you don't need their approval to define success. Here's where this shows up in the real world. You just heard that word, 독립선언, and 독립 plus 선언, so it means Declaration of Independence. Imagine a glittering trophy case, beautiful from the outside, filled with golden statues that catch the light just right. But look closer, and you will notice something unsettling. There were invincible bars around it. It's still a cage. That's exactly the BTS discovered after years of chasing Grammy recognition. Despite their unprecedented global success and multiple nominations over the years, they found themselves trapped in a system that seemed designed to keep them in one corner. When they got nominated, it wasn't for the major categories that recognized artistic excellence. It was for the culture-specific boxes that felt more like a separate drinking foundation than genuine recognition. So they made a choice that sent shockwaves through the industry. Boycott. They chose to boycott the ceremony entirely, rather than participate in what many perceive as a segregated system. But here's the thing that makes this moment so much bigger than one mass protestation. This isn't just about the Grammys. This is about the entire Western validation system that has defined global music success for decades. The same invincible bars that kept BTS in their designated corner exist everywhere, from radio system playlists to streaming algorithms to festival lineups. Their boycott wasn't just refusing to show up, it was refusing to play a league game. And when the biggest band in the world stops playing by the old rules, those rules start to look pretty fragile. This is the moment the news actually captures. That's the word I keep coming back to, boycott. It means boycott. Look at the line on screen. I didn't write that the reporting did. One word carries it, boycott. Spot that. And the headline also for you. You think success would open doors. That's how the story is supposed to go, right? Work hard, break records, win hearts across the globe. And eventually, the establishment has to let you in. But here's where the trap reveals itself. Picture on world ceremony broadcast with a runtime that can't fit every category on air. Executives decide category by category which wins get lead out live and which get blurred into an untelevised pre-show. Guess which side the world music and regional categories usually land on? Same trophy and same night, but a different level of visibility entirely. The glass ceiling had a name and an address, and BTS had been knocking on it for years. Success wasn't opening doors, it was building new worlds with prettier names. Look, here it is, right out in the open. And Korean called that 주체성, 주체 plus 성, so it means agency, subjectivity, autonomy. That's when culture critic Kim Hyun-sik called BTS decision a very revelatory culture event. He recognized that was really happening. K-pop was reclaiming its 주체성, its agency, its right to define itself. 주체성 literally means subjectness, the power to be the subject of your own story, not the object of someone else's narrative. And that's exactly what the Grammy system has stolen. This industry's persistently conservative attitudes had created something insidious, acknowledgement without integration. You could be celebrated, but only in your designated corner. Separate categories meant separate recognition. And as history has taught us over and over again, separation is rarely equal. BTS wasn't just walking away from an old award show. They were reclaiming their 주체성, refusing to let anyone else write the rules for their success. Here's the twisted logic that keeps the whole system running. Imagine looking in a mirror, but instead of seeing your own face, you see the face of everyone whose approval you are desperately seeking. That's the paradox of validation. The more you chase external approval, the more you surrender the very thing that made you special in the first place, your sanity. You start changing yourself to fit categories that were never designed to understand who you really are. Artists may begin molding their 문화적 정체성, their cultural identity, to skid into boxes built by people who've never lived their experience. 문화적 정체성 isn't just cultural identity in the abstract sense. It's alive, embracing a sense of where you come from, how you see the world, what rhythms move through your blood. It's untranslatable because it's yours. Notice the word that keeps appraising. 문화적 정체성. 문화적 plus 정체성, so it means cultural identity. When Grammy CEO Harvey Mason Jr. responded to BTS' decision, his words revealed everything. We are sad about their decision, but respect it. He completely missed the point. True inclusion doesn't mean getting your own special category. It means competing in the same arena as everyone else. The Recording Academy's creation of specialized categories was supposed to highlight diversity, but it actually reinforced the very barriers it claimed to break. Instead of celebrating 문화적 정체성 alongside mainstream recognition, they treated it like something that needed to be contained, managed, kept separate. It's the institutional equivalent of saying, "We love your culture, just keep it over there where it belongs." The system wasn't designed to be malicious. It was designed to be comfortable. And comfort, it turns out, is the enemy of a real change. Step back for a moment when you will see this story playing out across centuries. Jazz musicians in the 1920s, walking away from white, only venues to create their own cultures. Hip-hop artists in the 1980s, building their own labels when radio wouldn't play their music. Every generation of artists faces the same fundamental choice. Accept the table you've given, or build your own. BTS chose to build, and in doing so, they revealed something the establishment hadn't quite grasped yet. Hallyu, the Korean wave had grown for far beyond needing Western permission to exist. Picture waves of different colors and cultures flowing together in the same ocean, no longer asking for permission to share the same water. The numbers tell the real story. Industry trackers put Hallyu experts on a dramatic surge. With South Korea's global culture influence ranking repeatedly climbing from 31 to 7, this wasn't just about one band protest anymore. This was about the mid-sized Asian nation successfully projecting its cultural values worldwide, proving that a sanity culture expression creates more lasting impact than borrowed validation ever could. The tide had turned. The question was whether the old gatekeepers would notice before they drowned. And the word one more time, up close, Hallyu. Han plus yu, so it means Korean wave, Hallyu. Here's what you need to understand. The power is already in your hand. Picture someone your age holding a microphone, not waiting for a stage to be built for them, but creating their own space to be heard. Every time you choose a scenic expression over borrowed approval, every time you support artists who look like you, sound like your culture, tell stories that feel true to your experience, you're casting a vote for a world where creativity doesn't need permission. BTS 독립선언 wasn't just rejecting one word show. It was about proving that when artists stop asking for permission to be themselves, They don't just change their industry. They reshape the entire global conversation about whose culture gets to better. You're living through this moment right now. The old gatekeepers are realizing their gates no longer control who gets through. The future belongs to those who define themselves rather than those who wait to be defined. The word you learned today, 독립선언, the Declaration of Independence, you will be glad to spot it in the news again. Because this story isn't ending with BTS, it's just beginning with you. Let's recap the 5 Korean words from today. 독립선언, boycott, 주체성, 문화적 정체성, 한류. Every time you choose to support artists who create from their own cultural truths instead of chasing borrowed approval, you are casting a vote for a world where creativity doesn't need permission. That's your own 독립선언. Your declaration of independence from gatekeepers who never understood your story or way. I'm Korean, and I've just taught you the Korean expression they were actually reshaping for how the world talks about the cultural power. Hit subscribe, and you will catch the Korean behind the next wave of change. Thank you.